Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Roots Refuge Farm. It is an overcast Saturday morning. We had storms last night. I thoroughly watered my garden yesterday evening, and then it started to rain, which is the nature of these things. This morning, I'm just going to take advantage of the fact that it's really nice out here, and I'm going to knock out some work. So I have a lot of plants already out here that kind of need to be planted, and a lot of things in the greenhouse, namely the rest of my micro dwarf tomatoes to put in my green stalk, as well as my peppers. And my goal this weekend is to get peppers out in the high tunnel now that our nights have warmed up. Last night was like the last night I think that'll be cool enough to be a detriment to peppers. Alright, confession time. There are some times when the way I garden is just not conducive to making videos. So my camera missed some of my recording. I got a little frustrated, so I just turned it off. And then I realized, hey, you're going to wish you had shot a video this afternoon when you're done being outside and you just want to sit down and edit. So here we are again, together. Here's what I did. I'm going to show you what I did. Truth be told, I have a little bit of a hard time sometimes, like being really focused on a certain task, and I flit around the garden like a little butterfly. And sometimes I like doing that. I like doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I make a mess. I don't finish what I start, and that's all right. I'm listening to a good book. I know you're gonna ask. It's called On Folly Beach by Karen White. I actually just saw it recommended. I've never listened to any of her books or read any of them. And Folly Beach is my favorite beach here in South Carolina, so I thought, oh, that'd be interesting, and it's pretty good. So I'm all over the place, and I've done a lot of things. I'll catch you up, and then there are a couple things I wanted to show you. So I moved this over here. That was hilarious to see because it's very heavy. I couldn't actually lift it, so I had to do a little dragging. I thought this would be cute to have this planter at the foot of the bed, kind of looking like a hope chest or blanket trunk or whatever you put at a bench at the foot of your bed. And I put these planters. These were pre-planted, like these are petunias, and I'm actually not sure what this is, but I got these at like a side of the road nursery stand. Here in this planter I put some ornamental ginger. Ornamental ginger can be like super invasive, and so that's why I put it in a container. It smells so good. It blooms really pretty. And then I also put a couple of petunias here and a sweet potato vine. So I'm only doing sweet potato vines in containers where they can spill out, have plenty of space everywhere, and not root a lot. It's very warm here, very long season. Sweet potato vines are beautiful spillers for containers, but if you have a long warm season and you put them, like if I were to put them in my cottage garden, it would cover out a lot of things and could actually be detrimental to the other plants because they might not get enough light. But I love sweet potato vine. It's gorgeous, and I think it'll be really pretty here because this is such a big open space. And I put one in a container on the other side of my wide walkway too, because I don't mind if it's all over the walkways and we have to walk around it and all that stuff, but I don't really want it choking out the garden. I made that mistake in my cottage garden a few years ago in Arkansas, and I had like one tiny little plant like that, one of those $4 starts. It literally covered probably like 40 square feet of the garden. It was insane. It rooted all over the place. It choked out a bunch of other stuff. I mean, it does help keep weeds down, but if you're trying to like fill up with other plants, it's not great. So here, I want to fill this bed, but Jackson's going to help me with that. And I have a couple of things I want to put in here. Specifically, I'm going to put some roses in here because I think it would be really cute to have a bed of roses. I've also got this planter, and I actually think I'm not going to do ornamental stuff in here. I think I'm actually going to plant some turmeric because I have some that's sprouting. I need to put in the soil, but I think it can really take root and spread a lot, and I don't really want to give it a whole bed. So I think that's what's going to happen there. I told you I'll make a mess. I'll clean up after myself later. I came over here and added some compost and re-sowed some seeds. My Armenian white cucumber started coming up, and something is just gnawing my seeds off. I've still got one but I just sowed several here. That way we can get at least a few past the seedling stage. I'm not sure what's doing it. Likely birds. They got some sunflower seedlings that had come up over there. Solution, you can get, I think they're called cloches. They're kind of like a net little dome thing that you can put over seedlings if you're having something that's terrorizing your seedlings. I usually just plant extra seeds, and once seedlings get to a certain point, stuff leaves them alone more. So I just put several seeds in for the Armenian whites. I'm kind of looking where I have seedlings coming up and keeping an eye on them. And I was planting more sparse, but now that I'm seeing something is biting my seedlings, I'm going to start planting heavier from seed to hopefully get at least one plant to maturity where I want to plant to maturity. So then I moved over here. I saw this guy, Toady. Isn't he pretty? Excuse me, handsome. So I've been doing YouTube since my kids were very little. If you go back to like early videos, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, you gotta think they're only 8, 9, and 11 now, my little boys. So obviously they were like toddler or preschool age when I started YouTube. And gosh, those are such a time capsule. And my boys, when they were small, they found a toad in the garden once and named him Toady. And for about 2 years, every toad they saw, they thought it was the same toad. And so we now joke anytime we see a toad that it's Toady. Life like that in the garden, to me, is a sign that you're doing it right. If it is a hospitable place for creatures to find refuge, then I have created what I want to create. So then I came over here. I actually top dressed all of these tomatoes with some compost. Here's the compost. This is just nice rich compost. I didn't have any compost whenever I planted these tomatoes, so they got an egg in the hole, but they didn't get anything else. And they actually look really healthy, but I just piled up some compost around the edge, and I went ahead and pruned off the lower branches by just pinching them off. You can see them laying around because usually when I pinch off things, as long as they're not diseased, I just drop them in the bed to add back to the soil. And then I pulled the mulch over that I had moved to plant all of this and nestled it around. I uncovered this side of the bed where I am going down and planting sweet peppers. I ended up with a lot of extra pepper plants this year because I bought some really cheap when I went to that local plant sale, thinking that mine were too stunted that they weren't going to come through. But then I started to feed mine some fertilizer, got the shade cloth off my greenhouse, and they're really growing well. So I'm going to have a lot of pepper plants, which is great. I have shared that the last few years I've not put up a lot of like dried pepper powders. I haven't preserved a whole lot aside from like pickled peppers and candied peppers. That's really the only preservation that I've really done. But this year I really want to freeze dry and dehydrate lots of peppers for use over the next couple years. So I'm okay with having a lot of plants. Over here in this bed, these are all snacking peppers. So sweet banana peppers, as well as some of those little colorful snacking peppers. I think they're just like a hybrid I bought. Let me see, started plants. Pretty and sweet is what they're called. You can see those here. And my reasoning for putting these all close to the pavilion was that they would be good snacks while we're sitting out here. But I went ahead and decided that I'm going to do a long row of bell peppers and sweet peppers down here as well. And I'm not going to put any hot peppers down here. The rest of the peppers I'm going to put in the high tunnel, though there will be sweet ones down there as well. There's no real reason for that. I think the peppers in the high tunnel may grow better just because the shade cloth. Peppers love it hot, but they can get a little fussy when there's too much sun. But I've just got all these extra plants. I've got a lot of space, so I'm going to fill up this bed. I just wanted to show you guys how I'm doing this. Now I'll plant my peppers. This is roughly like, I don't know, 12, 13 inches apart. I'm going to go on a diagonal like this. You can probably plant them a little closer together. This works for me. This is about what I do. Sometimes I'll go a little closer. I like the saying peppers like to hold hands because that has been my experience. They like to be a little close together. They kind of help hold each other up. They kind of provide each other some shade. So I'm digging out a pretty decent sized hole here. You can see here. Here's my start. I am going to go ahead and take this flower off. I always pull flowers or even developing fruits off of my plant starts so that they can put their energy into getting their roots in rather than developing fruit. I feel like it gives a better harvest in the long run. I'm going to grab a scoopful of this compost, put it in the bottom of the hole, put the pepper in. I'm not burying this super deep. I mean, I am going to cover up some of the stem with more compost. Now, sometimes I'll just go ahead and bring some of the soil, existing soil, over the top of this, as long as it's got compost down in the hole. And I'm just going to repeat this all the way down. I've got several different kinds of bell peppers here. A lot of these are the plants that I bought. The reason I chose to put these out here rather than the ones I started is that the ones I started are still a little on the small side. These are already very thoroughly hardened off, and I think moving the ones that are still a little on the small side into the shade cloth covered high tunnel will probably be better for them, whereas these can handle just being stuck out here. So I'm going to fill this row up and get on with my book because I'm intrigued. Alright guys, I'm in the house now. I actually just finished editing the first part of this video. I got some deliciousness going on in here. Ooh, steamy. That is a big old pot of steak chili. We've got some friends coming over for dinner. Oh, here's Ezra. He heard me talking to you guys and wanted to come get involved. You want to say hi?
Hi.
So steak chili for friends coming over for dinner. I had to get out of the garden earlier because Maya's out there actually shooting a video for his channel this week. So I got out of his way, but I did finish planting that row of peppers, so that's good. And I didn't want to miss an opportunity to say thank you for hanging out with me today. I bless you.
Until next time.